working principle of a DC generator. Okay, now we'll see a detailed working principle of a DC generator. So what is a basic what is a basic principle of a DC generator? So as we know that generator converts mechanical energy into electrical energy. So where the mechanical energy comes from? Prime mover. So I already told that. So generator will take input from a prime mover. Prime mover is a driving engine which gives a mechanical energy to the input to the generator. Okay, so now we'll see the working principle with this help of this diagram. Okay, so let us consider stator and rotor. So think this is a stator and this is a rotor. Okay, so in the stator where the field winding is placed, in the rotor armature winding is placed. Okay, so for field winding we are giving a excitation is nothing but giving supply to the field winding. Okay, so what happens whenever the flux supply is given? Okay, so what happens? Flux will be produced. You already know about a flux. What is meant by flux? Flux means magnetic lines of force which is existing in between two poles. So imaginary lines of force existing in between two poles of a magnet called as a magnetic flux. So whenever the rotor is rotated with the help of a prime mover, so this is a prime mover. Prime mover may be a turbine or IC engine. Okay, so whatever it may be, it gives the output of a mechanical energy. That mechanical energy, that output should be given as an input to the rotor of a DC generator. So that what happens whenever the rotor is rotated with the help of a prime mover, in rotor armature winding is placed. So the armature conductors are also rotating in nature. Okay, so at that time we are giving a field excitation to the field winding. So what happens? Current will be passing into this winding and flux will be produced in the winding, and after that flux will be produced in the stator that passes to rotor through air gap. So there is some air gap present in between a stator and rotor in order to avoid a friction. Okay, so in order to avoid a friction between stator and rotor, there is some air gap is placed. Okay, there is some air gap between a stator and a rotor will exist, then only the rotor will rotate, otherwise the rotor will never rotate. Okay, if there is no air gap between stator and rotor, then rotor will never rotate. Okay, why? Because the flux is always travels from north pole to south pole. Okay, if there is no air gap between stator to rotor, means the flux will be traveling from directly from north pole to south pole and it will be attracted. So that means the rotor is at standstill condition. Okay, so that means it is not rotating in nature. So in order to avoid that, we are placing some air gap between a stator and rotor. The air gap is usually a 0.3 mm to 0.5 mm. The air gap is 0.3 mm to 0.5 mm. It depends on the machine. So for large machine it may vary. For small machines this is the value 0.3 mm to 0.5 mm. Okay, so whenever the rotor is rotated with the help of a prime mover, so what happens? The rotor is rotating, so the armature conductors are also rotating. Armature winding conductors are nothing but armature winding. So armature winding are rotating in nature. Okay, so at that time we are giving a field excitation. So what happens? Due to this, current will be passing into this field winding and flux will be produced in the stator, and that flux will passes through air gap and enters into the rotating armature conductors and links with this rotating armature conductors. Okay, so what happens whenever the flux is linking with this rotating armature conductors according to Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. So what do you mean by Faraday's, what the Faraday's has said? So we'll see about this Faraday's first law. Faraday's laws. So what the Faraday's first law will tell means, from the first law we can say that whenever change in flux or flux linkage will takes place with a conductor, then EMF is induced. Where the EMF will be induced? The conductor. Okay, remember that point. Okay, so from the Faraday's first law we can say that whenever the change in flux links with a coil, then EMF will be induced in a coil. Or now the conductor we can define in the same way, like whenever conductor linking with a flux change, then EMF will be induced. Okay, so this is a, so that means here saying that is a conductor is rotating in nature, that means the conductor is changing and the flux is uniform. Why? Because the uniform, we are calling it as a uniform, we are giving a DC excitation. Excitation means a DC supply through a battery, we are giving a excitation to the field winding. So we are giving a DC excitation. DC excitation means direct current. I already told that current does not vary with the magnitude of current does not vary with respect to time. So that means at 2 seconds the value of magnitude is 5 amperes, means suppose at 10 seconds or also the value is same. So at infinity time period also the value is only 5 amperes. So that means the value of current in case of a DC is not changing with respect to time. So that means the uniform current at every point of time it will have a uniform magnitude, so that it will produce a, whenever this current is passing into the winding, the flux will also uniformly distributed. So that uniform magnetic flux linking with the rotating armature conductors produces an EMF according to the Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. That EMF is always sinusoidal in nature, so we can represent the sine wave is nothing but a AC value of EMF. So that means in armature AC EMF will be induced. That means alternating current EMF. That EMF is sinusoidal in nature. So and the direction of EMF is given by Fleming's right hand rule. So there is some direction of this EMF. Who is given by the direction is nothing but Fleming's. Fleming is a scientist name, so he given the direction of induced EMF. Okay, so we'll see about a Fleming's right hand rule. Before going to that, once again I repeat the working principle. Okay, so whenever the rotor is rotated by means of a prime mover may be either turbine or a IC engine, which gives a mechanical energy to the rotor of a prime mover, rotor of a DC generator. Okay, so as the prime mover is coupled to the rotor, these two are mechanically coupled. Prime mover and rotor are mechanically coupled. As the prime mover is getting rotated, means the rotor is also getting rotated. Okay, so at that time we are giving a DC excitation to the field winding. What happens whenever the DC excitation is given? Uniform current will be passing to the winding and uniform flux will be produced. That uniform flux linking with this rotating armature conductors, which according to Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction, an EMF is induced in this conductor. Okay, that EMF is nothing but a AC value of EMF. Okay, so that EMF value is EMF magnitude is depends upon the second law. So Faraday's second law tells about magnitude of induced EMF. This is second law. Magnitude of induced EMF is directly proportional to rate of change of flux linkages. Okay, rate of change of flux linkages. So we can represent so this value of magnitude, how when the magnitude value is greater means flux linkage, rate of change of flux linkage will greater. So if this is high means the induced EMF value will also high. Okay, from the second last statement we can say this magnitude of induced EMF is directly proportional to rate of change of flux linkages. That means the EMF value will depends upon the flux linkage. Okay, flux linkage with a conductor. Okay, uh, so as the EMF induced in the armature, so as EMF is nothing but a voltage, as a voltage will be induced in the armature. Since the armature is of closed path, the current will be passing into this armature. Before going to that, we are talking about a DC generator. So that means we are getting output as a DC, but in case of armature you are getting a as an AC EMF. How to convert this armature alternating current EMF into unidirectional or direct current EMF? So by using another device which is present in the that by using another part which is present in the rotor of a DC generator, this is nothing but a commutator. I already explained in the construction part. So what is the purpose of commutator? Commutator is a mechanical, acts as a mechanical rectifier. It converts a AC value of EMF into unidirectional EMF. So that means in, so wait for 1 second, LRS. Okay, okay, now see here. Okay. So in armature you are getting a sinusoidal waveform, sinusoidal waveform of EMF. Okay, so that means the waveform is appearing like this. Okay, so this is an AC current waveform, but we are having, we are talking about a DC generator, so the output must be a DC value. So since we are talking about a DC generator, the output must be a DC value. Okay, so in order to convert this AC value to a DC, we are using a commutator. Commutator. So by using a commutator, so we will get unidirectional value like this. Okay, so this can be explained in the later class. Okay, so that means that in armature we are getting a sinusoidal waveform, that is nothing but a AC current. So in order to convert this AC value into unidirectional value, we are using a commutator. So we are collecting output current at the commutator only, remember this point. So we are taking the commutator current through brushes. So what is the function of brush? Brushes function is to collect the current from commutator segments. So through brushes we are collecting current from commutator. Okay, commutator segments. So this is the working principle, so that you will get a DC current, direct current. So this can be represented in a symbolic manner, diagrammatic manner like this, in order to understand a quick understanding of this. So again I am representing. Now see here. Okay. Okay. Think this is a stator. Think this is a rotor. So upon the stator, which winding is placed? Field winding. Upon the rotor, which winding is placed? Armature winding. Okay. Now, so don't draw this type of diagrams in case of an exam. Why? Because this is for only for explanation purpose. This is for in order to understand a quick understanding of this subject. So I'm drawing like this. So don't draw this type of diagrams to try to answer in this question paper. Okay. So which will be very unusual manner. Okay. So try to understand with this diagram. So the working principle is mainly based on Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. So what do you mean by induction? So what do you mean by induction? Induction means without any electrical connections. Suppose you are taking a two coils. These two coils are not having an electrical connections, but due to this current passing into this winding, the flux will be produced around this coil. So the coil which is adjacent to this coil is also getting flux due to this coil. Okay. So the flux which is placed nearer to this coil will also linking with this same flux and produces an EMF in the neighboring coil or conductor. Okay. So that means imagine there is no electrical connection, but there is a magnetic linking will be there. Due to this, an EMF will be induced in the neighboring conductor. This type of effect is nothing but a induction effect. This type of effect is nothing but a induction effect. That means that when two coils are inductively coupled, an EMF will be induced. That means there is no physical electrical without aid of electrical connections, but energy transfer takes place from one winding to another wind. That is nothing but a electromagnetic induction. Okay. So simply how electromagnetic induction defined as and the energy transfer takes place from one circuit to another circuit without aid of electrical connections. That is nothing but electromagnetic induction. So we can define in the same way. Okay. So now this principle is mainly based on the Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. Imagine that there is no physical connection between a stator and rotor. Imagine that there is no physical connection between a stator and rotor, but these two are magnetically linked. Why? Because this we are having a poles on the stator, and the field winding is also mounted on this stator, and this field winding is mounted on the stator. Okay. Now we'll see about a working principle. So for that we are taking a circle which is nothing but a stator. Remember this like a stator. I assume that this is a rotor and this is rotor. So as we know that this rotor is rotated with the help of a prime mover. Prime mover is a driving engine which gives a mechanical energy to the rotor of a DC generator. Okay. So in order that as a we know that rotor is having some slots, armature core is having some slots on the inner periphery, so on which the conductors are placed. Okay. So as the prime mover gives a mechanical rotation to the rotor, the rotor is also rotating in nature. Okay. As the rotor is rotating in nature, the armature winding is also rotating in nature. So at that point of time we are giving a field excitation. to the field winding. So that means we are giving a DC excitation with the help of a battery to the field winding. The field current will be passing into this winding, and flux will be produced in the stator, and that flux links with the rotating armature conductors, produces an EMF in the armature conductors. That EMF value is alternating current value of EMF. We have already discussed it. Okay, so that means in the armature we are having a sinusoidal value of EMF. Okay, so this is a AC value of EMF. This AC value of EMF will be produced in armature. Okay, so this AC value is converted into unidirectional value with the help of commutator. Okay, with the help of commutator we are converting this AC value of EMF into a DC value of EMF. Okay, that means unidirectional value. So here the direction is changing with respect to time. Here the direction is not changing with respect to time. The direction is same. You are getting a unidirectional current. So we can see the magnitude is constant. Okay, so here the direction of the current is not changing. Here the direction is changing. That's why this is a unidirectional current, and this is an alternating current. Okay, so this will be achieved with the help of a commutator. So in this way we'll get a DC current. So the current is collected from the commutator by using a brushes. So brushes are mounted on the commutator. So there is another device which is present inside the rotor, which is nothing but a commutator. Upon that brushes are mounted. Okay, so that will take the current from the positive brush and negative brush. We are collecting the current, DC current, and this DC current is collected and it is given to load. Okay, so in this way we'll getting a electrical output power. Okay, so this is the working principle. You are giving a mechanical energy from the prime mover and it is converted into electrical energy. Okay, by using a Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. I hope that you will got a point. You can understand now what is meant by a DC generator and what is the working principle of a DC generator. How the DC generator will produce electrical energy from the mechanical energy. By using a mechanical energy, it is gets converted into electrical energy. How it gets connected into electrical energy? By using a Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. Okay, this is the working principle of a DC generator. Okay. Now we will see about types of DC generators. Before going to that types of DC generators, so I want to know what type of EMF will be induced in what type of EMF will be induced in a DC generator. It is nothing but a dynamically induced EMF. So before going to that, I will give the classification of EMF. So what do you mean by EMF? EMF means a electromotive force. Okay, the force which drives the electrons is nothing but the electromotive force. Okay, so we are giving a classification of a EMF. So EMF are classified into two types. One is called as statically induced EMF and dynamically induced EMF. Okay, now you can say what is about a statically induced EMF. So one should understand about this statically induced EMF. So which is due to stationary conductors, which occurs due to a stationary conductors. That means a stationary windings, and will linking with a rotating or alternating field. Okay, so in dynamically induced EMF, it will occur mainly due to rotating conductor. So the word dynamically says about conducting position. So here the conductor, rotating conductor, and stationary flux. Stationary flux means uniform flux, uniform magnetic field. So whenever the uniform magnetic field is linking with a rotating conductor, then the type of EMF induced is called as a dynamically induced EMF. Whenever a stationary conductor linking with a rotating value of EMF or rotating value of flux or rotating field or alternating field, so then that type of EMF is called as a statically induced EMF. So for example, for a dynamically induced EMF, so we can say the DC generator works on the principle of this. Okay, so the DC generator works on the principle of Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction, and the type of EMF which is induced in a DC generator is nothing but a dynamically induced EMF. Okay, now you got the point. So in case of a DC generator, the armature conductors are rotating. So we can say rotating conductors. Okay, in DC generators, the uniform magnetic field is produced. Okay, so that whenever the uniform magnetic flux links with a rotating conductor or rotating conductor links with a uniform magnetic flux, then that type of EMF is called as a dynamically induced EMF. Okay, now you got the point. So where the statically induced EMF occurs, so example in case of a transformer, so you can see the transformer, there are no rotating parts present. Okay, if there are no rotating parts means the conductors are also not rotating in nature. Okay, so in transformer you are having a stationary conductors. So in definition of a statically induced EMF, static stationary conductor linking with a alternating EMF or rotating field. Okay, so that type of EMF is called as a statically induced EMF. So in case of a transformer, we are having a stationary conductors. So that stationary conductors linking with an alternating EMF, alternating flux. So in transformer, we are giving an AC supply. So this is a schematic diagram of a transformer. So this transformer is having a two windings which are not electrically connected but magnetically linked. I already told that. So energy transfer takes place through induction in case of a transformer. So whenever you are giving a AC supply, this is a symbol of AC sinusoidal source. Okay, that means we are giving an AC supply, current will be passing into this winding. Due to this is a stationary conductor, this is not rotating conductor. Okay, transformer is a static machine, static device. Okay, so whenever the current is passing into the stationary winding, so we are giving an alternating source. So alternating supply means alternating current will be produced, alternating flux will be produced, as the flux is represented with phi. Okay, so this whenever we are giving an alternating flux, alternating current, alternating flux will be produced. Why? Because the flux always follows the current path. Okay, so we are giving a stationary current means that means a uniform current means uniform magnetic field is produced. In the same manner, we are giving an alternating current means it will follow the alternating flux. Okay, as the alternating flux links with a stationary conductor, that type of EMF is induced in the conductor is nothing but a self-induced EMF. Okay, here also the same value of flux is linking with the secondary conductor. So this is a neighboring coil. So the EMF induced is called as a mutual induced EMF. This is another category. Okay, so in case of a statically induced EMF, there are two types called as a self-induced EMF, mutual induced EMF. So we have already studied these terms, terminologies in case of a physics. We have already studied this. So what do you mean by self-induced EMF? So whenever the EMF is induced, self-induced EMF. What is meant by self-induced EMF? So I'm writing here what is about self-induced EMF. EMF induced due to variation of flux with the same conductor or same coil. Variation of flux in the same coil, linked with the same coil turns. So that means the flux which is produced by the coil is again linking with the same coil. So the flux which is produced by the coil means, so whenever suppose you are having a first one coil, single coil, so suppose this is a coil or winding, so you are giving it to a source, alternating source. What happens? Current will be passing and flux will be producing around this coil like this. Okay, flux will be produced around this coil. So this flux is again linking with this same coil turns, produces an EMF according to Faraday's laws of electromagnetic induction. So what the Faraday's laws of change in flux links with a coil or conductor changes the flux, then EMF will be induced in the coil. So that type of EMF is called as a, here depending on the type of EMF. So this is a stationary conductor. So then the, the flux which is produced by same coil is again linking with the same coil turns. So that type of EMF is called as a self-induced EMF. So I already told that is a self-induced EMF. Okay, now I got the point about what is meant by self-induced EMF. The EMF induced due to variation of flux in the same coil and linked with the same coil turns. Okay, that is nothing but a self-induced EMF. And what is meant by mutual induced EMF? Mutual induced EMF. We'll see about a mutual induced EMF. Mutually induced EMF. I already explained about a mutual induced EMF. So again we'll see about a mutual induced EMF in detail. So EMF induced due to change in current in the neighboring coil. EMF induced due to change in current in the neighboring coil, then the type of EMF is called as a mutual induced EMF. So in order to explain this, so I am considering a transformer. Why? Because the transformer is the best example for statically induced EMF. So in statically induced EMF there are two types of EMF which are called nothing but a self-induced EMF and a mutual induced EMF. So this is the schematic diagram of a transformer. So transformer consisting of a core, this is called as a core, iron core. Iron core is having a two limbs, these are called nothing but a limbs. This is the first limb and this is the second limb. On the side limbs we are wounding the windings. So this is a primary winding and this is a secondary winding. The winding which is connected to load is called as a, this is a load. The winding which is connected to the load is called as a secondary winding. The winding which is connected to source is called as a primary winding. So suppose we are giving a supply to the primary winding, what happens? Current will be passing into this winding and the flux will be produced in the core. As the core is common for both the primary and secondary windings. So here there is no electrical connection between primary and secondary, but magnetically linked through a common core. Why? Because the same current which is the same flux which is passing into the core and is again linking with the secondary winding turns. This means the flux which is produced by the primary winding is again linking with the secondary winding turns, is also linking with the primary winding. The flux which is produced by first coil or primary winding is again linking with the primary winding turns, which produces a self-induced EMF in the primary winding, and the flux which is produced by the primary winding is again linking with the secondary winding turns, which produces a mutual induced EMF in the secondary winding. So the EMF induced due to change in current in the neighboring coil. So that means this here the change current in the neighboring coil. Here the EMF will be induced due to change in current in the neighboring coil. Neighboring coil means first coil. First coil current is changing. Why? Because we are giving a DC, AC source. AC source means current is alternating current. Alternating current means current is varying with respect to time. The, due to the change in current in this coil, an EMF will be induced in the secondary coil. That EMF is nothing but a mutual induced EMF. Best example is a transformer. Okay, statically induced EMF, best example is a transformer. Self induced EMF also transformer. Mutual induced EMF is also transformer. Okay, so for dynamically induced EMF, what is an example? DC generators. Okay, now we have understand about what is a which type of EMF is induced in a DC generator. Which type of induced EMF is induced in case of a DC generator? It is nothing but a dynamically induced EMF. Okay, we got the point. I hope you got the point. Okay, now you'll see about a dynamically induced EMF derivation. Dynamically induced EMF. So I already told that the EMF induced in a DC generator is nothing but a dynamically induced EMF. Okay, so consider a conductor. Let conductor A, conductor is named as A, is moving with a velocity V. Okay, so now consider three cases. Suppose think this is a stator poles. So in between there is a magnetic lines of force like this. So I am placing a conductor like this. This is a conductor A, and it is moving parallel to the lines of force. As we know that the lines of force is like this. The direction of lines of force is always from north pole to south pole. Okay, so as a conductor is always moves in a parallel to the direction of lines of force, what happens? So there is no linkage of flux between magnetic flux and the conductor. So there is no, in this case there is no linkage of flux with the conductor. So when there is no flux linkage, EMF is 0. So this is from the second law. Magnitude of induced EMF is directly proportional to rate of change of flux linkage. Here there is no rate of change of flux linkage. Why? Because the conductor is moving parallel to the lines of force. In this case, the conductor is moving parallel to the flux. Okay, now imagine the conductor is moving perpendicular to the lines of flux. That is the second case, second scenario. Okay, now the conductor is moving perpendicular to the lines of flux. So what happens here? Maximum amount of flux will pass through this conductor. There is a maximum amount of flux linkages. In this case, conductor is moving perpendicular to the flux. So EMF is maximum. Okay, now we'll see the third case. So in this case, conductor is moving at an angle with a field lines. Conductor is moving at some angle. That means the field lines is direction is like this, and the conductor is moving at an angle with field lines, which is nothing but theta. Okay, so now it can be resolved into two components. One is a horizontal component, one is a vertical component. Okay, so if this is a theta, then this is called as a horizontal component, and this is called a vertical component from this triangle. Okay, okay, so we can say this is a vertical component. This is a v moving with velocity v, then it is called as a v sin theta, then it is called as a v cos theta. Okay, so we can say at this particular condition, what is the e value which is moving with a some velocity v. Okay, some making an angle theta. So what is the e value here? In order to derive this, we have to consider the area of the conductor and length of the conductor. So by considering this values, again we are deriving. Okay, now we'll see how to derive a dynamically induced EMF expression. Let L be the length of the conductor and B is the flux density around the conductor. V is the velocity of the conductor, velocity by which the conductor is moving. Okay, now A is the area swept by the conductor. We know that area is nothing but a length into breadth. Okay, so here we are considering first case. The conductor is moving with a velocity v in the direction which is parallel to the lines of force. Okay, here the conductor is moving parallel to the lines of force, then the EMF value is 0. We are saying that EMF value, why? Because EMF value is 0 means why EMF value is 0 means there is no rate of change of flux linkage. Okay, so before going to this, the distance which is moved by the conductor is nothing but a dx. Dx is a distance moved by the conductor. Okay, now we will see about this second case. First case we will saying that the conductor is moving parallel to the lines of force, then the EMF value is 0 because there is no rate of change of flux linkage. Okay, so area is equals to length into distance moved by the conductor. Area swept by the conductor is nothing but length into distance moved by the conductor. Okay, as we know that area is equals to length into distance moved by the conductor. Okay, area swept by the conductor, which is nothing but a L into dx, where L is the length of the conductor and dx is the distance moved by the conductor. Suppose the rate of change of flux is nothing but a change of flux, that means the flux linkage is nothing but a d phi, which is equals to, so as we know that flux density is nothing but flux by area. So if we want a flux, then flux density multiplied with area. So as we got the area value as L into dx, substitute the value d phi is equals to b into L into dx. Okay, so this is a change in flux. This is a change in flux. Now according to Faraday's second law, E is directly proportional to rate of change of flux linkage. The induced EMF, magnitude of induced EMF is directly proportional to rate of change of flux linkage. This is a rate of flux linkages. Okay, and E is a EMF value. Okay, as we know that this value. So as the rate of change of flux linkage is nothing but we got the d phi value, and we want the time dt. So if you got these two, so we can divide these two, we'll get a EMF value. So in order to derive this, the EMF EMF induced in a time in a conductor with a time dt second, then you are considering dt second, so which is nothing but a d phi by dt, so which is equals to d phi is equals to b into L into dx from this equation. Okay, by dt. So from this equation, so again I am writing here, so E is equals to d phi by dt here, which is equals to b into L into dx by dt. Dx by dt is nothing but a velocity, displacement by time is nothing but a velocity, distance by time is nothing but a velocity. Okay, so v blv, this is the expression for dynamically induced EMF when it is moving perpendicular to the direction of field lines or flux lines or lines of force, whatever it may be. Okay, so when the lines of force when the conductor is moving perpendicular to the direction of lines of force, then the dynamically induced EMF expression is B is equals to BLV sin BLV. Okay, so consider another case. There is a third case we have already discussed. Here the induced EMF is maximum. I already told in this case the induced EMF is maximum. Why? Because it is moving perpendicular to the lines of force. Now it is moving some angle to the direction of field lines. That angle is nothing but theta. So I have already resolved it. So suppose if it is the lines of force direction is like this, and the conductor is moving with a velocity v with the theta direction, theta angle to the field lines direction, so that it will resolve into two components. One, it is a vertical component, one it is a horizontal component. At which component the flux linkage is maximum? Vertical component. So at vertical component, what is the value of velocity? V sin theta. Then substitute that value in the place of v, you'll get a induced EMF expression. So when the conductor is moving at an angle theta to the direction of field lines, so then the dynamically induced EMF is E is equals to BLV sin theta. Okay, so how I am writing this V sin theta? So the perpendicular component, the field lines, the direction is perpendicular to the field lines component is nothing but a perpendicular component is nothing but vertical component. Velocity vertical component is nothing but V sin theta. So I'll substitute the velocity in the place of V sin theta. You'll get the expression as E is equals to BLV sin theta. Okay, this is the dynamically induced EMF derivation.